Welcome everyone to Roots of Faith. For today's episode, I'm sitting down with Father Gabriel Wissa from Coptic Orthodox Answers. Father, how are you today?
I'm good, thank God. Jonathan, how are you?
I'm doing good. Did I pronounce your last name right?
Very well.
Yeah, okay, cool. Today I wanted to get into a little bit about who you are, your background, and the work that you do, the amazing work that you do with Coptic Orthodox Answers. But before we get into that, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I was born in Egypt at the age of 9 years old. My parents immigrated to Canada, to Montreal, Canada. I've been there since, studied hard, played sports, did my thing, but graduated from engineering, actually, mechanical engineering. So in the Coptic Church, priests don't go into a specific seminary to become priests, right? So we're chosen later on by the bishop, right, and the priests that are already there in the parish, and then we study furthermore and whatnot. So I actually graduated from engineering, had a PMP, then I served, whether in Sunday school and the services in the church and whatnot, among other very good servants. And then after a long story and with God, and a lot of conversion towards the faith, essentially God picked me. There was a calling towards the priesthood. So I got ordained in August 2012. It's been a while. It's been a great journey. Since then, I've studied in theology. So I have a master's in theology. Currently actually doing a doctorate in theology as well with Agora University. So that's my life in a nutshell. Obviously, I have an amazing wife. Shout out to Maria. And two beautiful kids, Liana and Rachel. I love all of three of them very much. Yeah.
That's awesome. So tell me more about how you become a priest. How do you become a priest in the Coptic tradition? So you don't decide to go to seminary like you do like in some of the other traditions. You're picked by the priest and bishop, or how does that work?
Yeah, so essentially what happens, we live a life within the church, and we're a very closely knit community, right? And we take care of each other and we serve each other and whatnot. And then what ends up happening is that you notice that some servants, or what we call them servants, but people that are minister within the church, they catch the bishop's eye, essentially, right? And then, a bishop that has the wisdom and is looking long term, he says, okay, well, this person can come, and serve as a clergy member. So we have many priests actually that were big shot doctors, big shot, like they had like their own companies, they were engineers, pharmacists, you name it. And then they leave all of this behind, similar to the monks essentially, but they leave this and they become priests. And then you start a completely different life, right? It's a huge blessing. It's very different, but it's a huge blessing, yeah.
So they had like successful careers, and then they're selected. Do they have to accept it, or do they have a choice?
Yeah, of course they have a choice. So the priest has to agree. His father of confession has to agree, right? His wife has to agree.
Okay.
There's a bunch of it. If there are many like priests already established in a parish, they also have to agree to have that extra priest with them. Obviously, the bishop, it's his decision ultimately at the end, based on the priest to be and especially his wife. So there's a bunch of things going on. There's a whole dynamic behind it. Obviously, a lot of prayer. And then when the bishop feels that, he is the proper, clergy member for this parish, he makes it happen.
Cool. Father, talk to me about the Coptic Church. Why do you think I look at it and it's such a beautiful, like this is all new to me. My first exposure to the Coptic Church was when I spoke to Father Lazarus the first time. And so all of this is new to me. We're sitting down right now in a Coptic church here in Irvine. Why do you think it is that the Coptic Church hasn't been able to grow as much as some of the other traditions? So it's like a hidden treasure. Not a lot of people know about it. Why do you think that it's kind of been a little bit more smaller in comparison to some of the other, apostolic traditions?
Yeah, so I think it is definitely a hidden treasure. I agree with you on that. The Coptic Church, the Coptic Orthodox Church is beautiful. And I want to clarify this, forgive me, because I've heard a few people recently talking about the Coptics, right? As if the Coptics, are not Orthodox, and this whole idea of monophysitism that we don't believe in, right? No, it is the Coptic Orthodox Church, beautifully brought about, established by Christ himself through St. Mark in the first century. So St. Mark the Evangelist is essentially the first pope of the Coptic Church. We have great saints that many people revere from the different traditions. If we speak about St. Anthony the Great,
Right.
who established monasticism, well, he's Egyptian. He's a Coptic Orthodox Christian. If we speak about St. Athanasius of Alexandria, right, he's the 20th pope of the Coptic Church, right? St. Cyril of Alexandria, so many incredible names. The whole school in the first 5th century, this theological catechetical school of Alexandria, was extremely knowledgeable, right? So St. Athanasius was the one who actually would declare the dates of the Feast of the Resurrection on a yearly basis to the entire world, right? So this is all part of the Coptic Church, and we're very proud to be Coptic Orthodox. I think the reason why people are only starting to hear about Coptic Orthodoxy is simply because that we are newer in the West, right? So if you speak about like the Catholic Church, obviously they've been here for a while, the Protestants as well. The Eastern Orthodox has been about 150 years, right? But when it comes to the Orientals, and I can speak more specifically about the Coptic Church, it's been just over 50 years, right? So what happens when people immigrate from Egypt to come to the diaspora, the immigration land, your main concern is, wait a second, I have to establish orthodoxy here and now. Like you have a priest that is just sent to Montreal, sent to LA, sent to wherever, right? And that's his concern. And the people that have immigrated are speaking Arabic because that's the current language that is spoken in Egypt. And I think those priests have done a wonderful job doing this, making sure orthodoxy is established with the Coptic flavor, with the Coptic piety. And then the second step that happened afterwards was to ensure that our youth are rooted in the church. And that's one of the beautiful characteristics of the Coptic Church, is that it's full of amazing youth. I see plenty in my own parish, not that it's my work, not at all. I mean, it's the work of prior priests, but I see beautiful, beautiful youth. And at some point I was like, wow, I'm so blessed to serve those youth. But more recently, I've been on different trips to meet Coptic youth from Australia, from the UK, from the US, right? From other places in Canada. And then you realize, wait a second, all of them are the same. They're all deeply spiritual. They're all like proud to be Coptic Orthodox. They're dedicated to God. Obviously, nobody's perfect, right? But they're really, really beautiful. And that has been happening in the last few years. So currently, it is the third step, which is now that we have this beautiful treasure, and it is Orthodox, and we have the youth, and we're able to retain them, and now they are serving and helping to bring about the next generations, right? Now we're trying to open the doors of the church for everybody. So keeping away from the Arabic, we have like the church who are here now in Irvine, California, St. Paul American Coptic Orthodox Church, right? It's called American Coptic Orthodox Church because the idea is that even the Coptic language, which is the original language of the Coptic people, is reduced to a minimum, if there's any, and everything is in English. The hymns are in English, to be able to open the door for anybody to come in, regardless whether you're American, Canadian, you're Indian, it really doesn't matter what your background is.
Yeah, to help be here in the local community.
Absolutely. So essentially what I'm trying to say is that that third phase has just started. And that's why people are getting to learn much more about the Oriental Orthodox churches as a whole. And that's why we start having a bit, of voice online. It's all fairly new. But it's just because, naturally speaking, this is what's happening, right? Yeah. So, yeah.
How much do you think persecution and martyrdom has played a role in that? Of like, I kind of observe that maybe perhaps that a lot of the reason why the Coptic Church hasn't been as big in evangelism, or at least here in the West, is probably in fear, in some of the countries that it's born out of, there's a lot of persecution. How much do you think that's played a role in?
Oh, a huge role.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, you're very smart to actually understand the dynamics behind this, because being a Christian, being a minority, in Egypt, it's been very difficult, right? Especially when you're faced with threats all the time. People get baptized in Egypt in secret. That happens all the time. People have to escape Egypt because they have been baptized. The priests sometimes have to escape. These stories happen all the time. So what ends up happening is that you become in your own bubble, right? You're trying to survive. You're in survival mode, essentially. You're trying to ensure that your youth and your kids are not leaving the church, are not, apostatizing. But that helps in forming a true and deep identity.
Yeah.
Right. And then I think also that plays a role on why the youth really love their church. But when you have people that have grown up with that mentality, once they immigrate to the West, they remain in their bubble, right? And that's why, like you're saying later on, only now when you have like I said, like I immigrated, my parents immigrated when I was 9. So I essentially grew up in Canada. I have many friends that are priests that are born in Canada, born in the States. So that generation is now like, no, we're doing it differently, right? Because we look at that treasure and we're like, we must share it. I was speaking with a friend in the last couple of days, and he was telling me, you know what, like I feel that we really won the lottery, like we're just blessed to be born in such a beautiful church that is so deep, and therefore we're trying to make the world know about who the Coptic Orthodox people are.
Mm-hmm. And the persecution, is it by secular authorities, like back in Egypt, or is it by, I don't know if there's a distinction between secular and religion over there, like, because I know the dominant religion is Islam, right? So is it because of that faith that the Coptic church is being persecuted?
There's no secular government really, and I mean, it is what it is. Like we've been always persecuted, whether it's from the Roman Empire early on, right? Who were pagans, throughout the Middle Ages, even recently. But what I can tell you is that the current president loves the church.
Oh, okay.
And him and the Pope have a good relationship together. And he's been helping the church build buildings, right? So he would give the building permits. Currently, when I go to Egypt, for example, the way I'm treated at the airport is very, very different than how it used to be, right? So there's definitely, progression in the right direction. We definitely pray it continues. But yeah, so, we've remained a minority for a long, long time,
Yeah. What can people expect when they walk into a Coptic Orthodox church? Somebody who's American, they've never heard of Coptic Orthodox, but they know there's a church, somewhere down the road. If they were to walk in that door, what is going to stand out to them?
So first, I would encourage those people to step into an American Coptic Orthodox church, at least one that speaks more English. I think you'll find yourself much more at home in those parishes. If you come during a liturgy, you should expect, in a good way, to be ignored, meaning... So in the Orthodox liturgies, right, you have the priest, is facing the east, right? The entire focus is God himself. And you have everybody facing that way, right? And the idea is that we're offering repentance and we are worshiping God with all our mind, soul, and heart, right? So you're not going to have someone saying hi to you when you come. You'll have many people saying hi to you afterwards and want you to make you feel at home, but definitely not during liturgy. We have a lot of beautiful symbolism. So on top of the altar, we have an ostrich egg. Okay, yeah, which is like you can wonder about this. So the idea is that the ostrich, stares at its egg for protection. Right, it wants to protect its egg. So that idea of staring, that idea of focus, right? So the church, we put this on top of the door of the altar, and the whole, notion behind this is that we're focusing on God and God alone. You know, some people that wear glasses, sometimes they remove their glasses because sometimes the churches are packed, they're big and they're packed. So, you know, there's only room in the back. People don't want to see people and who comes when and who does what. You know, because things happen during liturgy, so they remove their glasses, right? Other people try to come early to really be in front and focus on that liturgy and truly offer that repentance, preparing their hearts to partake of the Holy Eucharist. Afterwards, you can expect people to be very fervent in the way they approach you, in the way they want to serve you. If you know, they might serve you a lot of food. They might, you know, tell your kids, we have like Sunday school, like ministry, we have Bible school or Bible academy ministry, we have hymns classes, we have scouts, we have so many ministries happening within the parish itself. So you might find, you know, people just inviting you to all of those things, right? We have an agape meal, right? It's like a meal of love after the liturgy. And yeah, so I mean, you'll find yourself definitely at home. There's a bunch of Bible studies, a bunch of ministries happening during the week as well. That's probably a better place to start than the liturgy, especially that the Coptic liturgy is somewhat long compared to the Catholic Mass, for example.
And you follow the Liturgy of St. Mark, is that correct?
So yeah, so we have currently 3 anaphoras. So early on in history, we had many anaphoras. So liturgy is meaning anaphoras. Currently, we use 3. So one of them is St. Cyril's liturgy, and that is based on St. Mark's liturgy, again, the writer of the gospel. And even like, you know, scholars say that the liturgy of St. Mark was written prior to his gospel, believe it or not, which again gives you a hint of how important tradition is, right? We also have St. Basil's liturgy, and that's the one more commonly prayed. So St. Basil of Caesarea, one of the Cappadocian fathers. And we have St. Gregory the Theologian's liturgy, or Nazianzus, right? So that liturgy is beautiful. Its tune is beautiful. It's a bit longer, so we usually pray it on feast days, like Feast of the Resurrection, Nativity. It's a gorgeous liturgy. But especially on the Feast of the Resurrection, expect to be there for a good 5 hours if you come from the beginning. But the usual liturgy would be, like on a Sunday, would be 2.5 hours, maybe max 3 hours, including, you know, the partaking of the Eucharist.
How similar is it to like the Divine Liturgy of St. John Chrysostom?
So I have never attended that, so I can't really comment on that. Forgive me, I don't know.
No worries. But another thing that people can expect when they come into the church is no shoes. Right now, I don't know if you guys can see on the camera, but we're in our socks here. Why is that the case?
So, and that's, you know, the beauty of different traditions. So people do things for different reasons. So the Eastern Orthodox, they keep the shoes on, right? Like I've seen many Romanians, for example, doing this. Because to them, in Exodus 12, when God was giving advice to Moses on how to eat the Passover, you had to eat it with your sandals on, right? For the Orientals, we look more at Moses and the burning bush, right? So the idea that when you approach God, right, His presence is holy, right? And then, so this is where you belong as a holy person, being in the image and likeness of God. This is where you belong, right? So this becomes your home. So being barefooted or removing your shoes is symbolic to you belonging there. You're a holy person in this holy place in the presence of the holy God. Versus, you know, me wearing shoes outside in the world. So I am in the world, but I do not belong, right? So I am not of the world. I live in it, but I'm not of it. So that's the concept behind us removing our shoes. There's also a couple of other details, but I mean, I think that's good enough.
Another piece of symbolism that I noticed is the red carpet. I heard that it was because of the blood of the martyrs. Is that true?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So the blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church. So obviously starting with the blood of Christ himself, who is the foundation of the church. So you walk in the church, you are reminded right away who is the foundation and the price that was paid for you, right? Which is the blood of Christ himself. And that was mimicked, obviously not to give salvation, but, you know, like Christ says that there's no greater love than this, than for someone to give his own life for his friend. Right? So the ultimate love is to shed, your own blood for the sake of Christ, for the sake of the church. And they are the seeds of the church. And that's why we have, this red carpet that might look kind of weird for someone that is new to the church.
Yeah.
But once you understand the meaning behind it, you realize that, wait a second, everything happening within this building has a reason for it. It's very symbolic. Yeah.
I love that. It's funny because like when I see it at the Roman Catholic Church, I don't like it as much. But when I'm here, like this makes sense to me, and I love it.
Feels cozy, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. How is the relationship like in the Coptic Orthodox Church? How is the relationship between the Coptic Orthodox Church and the Ethiopians and the Eritreans? Because you're all part of the same body.
Yes.
You're in communion with these other groups as well.
Absolutely, yeah. No, so we're very blessed as Oriental Orthodox that we are in unity, all of us together, whether as the Ethiopian, the Eritreans, whether it's the Indians, the Armenians, the Syrians, like the Coptics. Of course, in certain countries, there are certain like factions happening politically, right? It's not happening, from the churches themselves. But we're very blessed to be, in unity. Again, we spoke many times with Deacon Mehret. We have a lot of Eritreans and a lot of Ethiopians praying in the Coptic churches. I personally study with Syrian Orthodox, right? And we get along very well. So it's really, really nice to see, like in the doctorate, I have this Armenian Orthodox who's a very nice professor. She's a doctor. She's currently talking to us about the genocide that happened in Armenia. So where there's love, there's unity. Again, I don't claim that we are perfect. We're not perfect. And one of the things that I would pray we can improve is that on our practical level, we can be more together. Because everybody is so busy in their bubble, right? So we don't have much time to be together. But I know that in New Jersey, there's like a Pan-Orthodox convention that happens yearly. I know Father Lazarus here in California has already played or con-celebrated an Pan-Oriental Orthodox liturgy. And I know in the beginning of August, he's praying another one, and he hopes that it's going to be on a monthly basis. So there are steps being taken towards this. And I think, the more united you are, the stronger you are. And with everything happening in the world today, I think it becomes a necessity. And not only a necessity, it's what pleases God.
Right.
I mean, God is His unity in diversity. He's one God, yet He's Trinitarian. There's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. They're three distinct persons, but they are united in this koinonia and this love and with this humility, right? So, and the church needs to mimic this.
Right.
If we ought to be Christians, we definitely need to mimic the Holy Trinity.
So you do a lot of videos for your channel, Coptic Orthodox Answers. Tell me a little bit about the channel and what prompted you to want to start creating content.
So it all started again with, having the Coptic youth maybe listening to other things that are not necessarily apostolic or whatnot online. And then, my mindset was really based on them. So, and Father Anthony as well. And then we started like creating this ministry. And as it developed and as my own priesthood evolved and how like I started seeing things very differently and how we have this treasure to share, then, we told ourselves, no, this is not right. So the youth are definitely still one of the objectives of this channel, but it has become even secondary to preaching, evangelizing, sharing the beauty and the richness of the church. Like I said, this is the phase that we are in. And this has taken priority also because the youth are very well served locally, like I said earlier, right? So every youth, almost in every parish, will have like a father of confession that he has a good relationship or she has a good relationship with him, will have some very strong, deeply rooted servants that are able to take care of them. So that online ministry is not really needed for them. It might be helpful, definitely, and still edifying, but they don't really need it. And I think when the Coptic youth are starting to see that, as Coptic Orthodox or as Oriental Orthodox, we're also starting to open up to the world, which is something that we must do. We are called to do this, right? Then they are also encouraged to do this locally. And that's what I've seen in my parish back at home, where the youth are extremely happy, to share their faith with others. And because our youth are always in churches, there's always something happening. So they always tell their friends, yeah, I'm going to church, I'm going to church. So their friends are like, what do you mean? You're going to church every day? Like, not every day, but almost every, like, what's happening? So they're curious. So they're like, I want to come, So the youth themselves came up with this idea now where, we have like a bring a friend day.
Yeah.
Where, when they come, they can only come to that meeting if they have a friend that is not Egyptian that comes with them. And these meetings have been going on and they're packed. We actually limit the attendance, believe it or not, because people are curious and they find, like, again, like a richness, a depth, and they find like their fellow friends that they're really rooted in the church. So they keep on coming back.
Yeah. I think it's safe to say, from my experience, the Coptic Orthodox communities that I've seen, probably the most devoted, the most faithful, the most beautiful communities. What are you seeing that with people that are converting to the Orthodox Church, the Coptic Orthodox Church? What are you seeing as like are you seeing that people are seeking more of like a traditional, like a going back to tradition, that kind of thing, especially like here in the West?
Yeah, I think there has been a wave, right, of Protestants coming into apostolic churches, whether like the Eastern Orthodox, the Oriental Orthodox, the Catholic Church, right? I think we've seen it a lot, whether online or locally. We've seen also many atheists that were formerly Christian, or they were always atheists, right? And they look at Orthodoxy and it makes sense to them. Like, I have this person in mind. I'm not sure if I should say his name, but for example, I have actually, he's one of our teachers, one of the doctors we have in Agora University, so he knows himself. Who used to be a Christian. Then he had a bunch of issues, I guess, with that denomination. Ended up being an atheist, right? And then after rediscovering Christ, he discovered him in Orthodoxy, and he's currently a Syrian Orthodox. And I really don't say this lightly, but I really believe this man is a scholar. He's extremely smart. He knows about 24 languages, believe it or not. So like, you're talking about like actually a Californian, like with blue eyes, right? And he's teaching us, and he's writing in Hebrew, then he's writing in Greek, then he's writing in Arabic, and he has like, he knows Akkadian, which is a dead language. And I'm like, whoa, I can't keep up, So I'm talking with that kind of like mental power. But yeah, he found Christ in, the Syrian church. He loves Saint Ephraim, the Syrian. So we have started to see this more and more. People that want like a solid foundation, a tradition that has not been moved by anything, right? Yeah.
Right. Maybe one last question before we wrap up. What would you like to see next? What type of evangelization, or what would you like to see in order for the church to continue to grow?
I would like to see more and more people coming up, online and preaching Orthodoxy. I would like to see locally the youth more and more inviting people to their parishes. I would like to see every parish, all the congregation members understand their role in being welcome to others, in terms of like speaking more English. If sometimes there's like certain like parishes that are fully Arabic, right? Because again, the grown-ups are still in their own bubble. We have to turn the page. I'm very appreciative that you give us this opportunity, to have that discussion with Roots of Faith. It's a beautiful ministry, and it's a great platform to be on. So I really encourage the youth, because they have so much energy, and they're incredibly wise, smart, And I know that in the next 20 years, you'll find a lot of Oriental Orthodox churches flourishing. We do have a different taste. And this is where my heart lies. Like deep down, that's what I'm hoping for, is that everybody gets to know about the Coptic Church. Yeah.
Wow. Where can people find you, Father?
So I'm from Montreal, Canada, like locally. Yeah. So I'm in St. George and St. Joseph's Coptic Orthodox Church in Montreal, Canada. You can also find Father Anthony Murad in St. George and St. Anthony in Ottawa. And you can just Google Coptic churches, throughout. We have many, many parishes in the US, a lot. We have many, many in Canada as well, in Australia, you name it. We're actually all over the world, like China, Japan, like literally you name it, we're there. Europe. So come find us, and we'll make sure that you're welcome.
And then your YouTube channel, Coptic Orthodox Answers.
Yes, thank you for reminding me of this.
Yeah.
So we have this small ministry in Coptic Orthodox Answers.
It's growing a lot. I've been keeping an eye on it.
Thank God, thank God for everything. We definitely see God's hand at play. I can't deny that, and it's very, very humbling. And I really believe it is His work, and it's like I don't even consider this to be my channel. To be honest.
Yeah.
I know that God is the one who is working. And I just pray, for people to get to know who the Oriental Orthodox are. And maybe my last point is, I would appreciate, if, like what you're doing now, that we allow the Oriental Orthodox to have like a voice online, right? Sometimes we see when they speak about the apostolic churches, they speak about the Catholic Church, they speak about the Eastern Church, but the Orientals are there, right? And we have many scholars that are growing. We have many people that are very well educated and studying, and they can definitely do debates, and they can participate in loving discussions. I think that's essentially what we prefer. So look us up, invite us. I think you will find that there's a different wisdom there. Not different in the sense that, completely different, but it's a different style, right? And it's very edifying, I believe.
Yeah. Who are some of your favorite YouTube channels? I see that there's more and more Oriental Orthodox that are starting to come up. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously the Burning Bush is a good one. Another one is the Orthodox Spirit that has just started. Obviously, Roots of Faith. We listen also to Roots of Faith, Roots of Orthodoxy, all of your work. Alex and his great work with the Voice of Reason. There's a bunch of other ones happening in Australia. Like some youth are starting this podcast called The Salt.
Oh, the Salt podcast.
Yeah, the Salt podcast.
Pop up more.
Yeah. So there's just starting like all of them, but give it a few years, and they will take their space. Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Father. I'm going to put all of your links in the description below so people can check out your channel. Thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Thank you, Father.